Now, I have been sitting on this information for about 7 months, a little hesitant to expose it to the world because anytime that I call out a gigantic, huge outdoor power equipment company on one of their design flaws that could potentially lead to mass recalls and warranty repair, it just makes me a little hesitant, okay? You know, I'm a little worried. So I'm going to leave a little disclaimer here. This video is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. See the information that I provide you and make your own decision. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. I hope everybody's having a great week. I am jumping right into it today. Today, we're talking speed feed heads. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Bree, you've been telling us for years to buy them, that they are the best trimmer head ever made. And yes, they are. If you have never experienced the Speed Feed 400 or 450, you definitely need to get it. They are universal. They fit a ton of trimmers. They're durable. They hold a ton of line. And hands down, they're the easiest trimmer head ever to load. Now, if you don't know about the Speed Feed yet, I already made a video on them a long time ago. I will leave a link right up above. It shows you how awesome they are, how to install them on whatever trimmer that you have, and how to load them. But in today's video, we're not talking about the 400 or the 450 because I have an idea that whoever designed these masterpieces did not design the new Speed Feed 500. Now, before I get into the specifics on what I believe is wrong with this trimmer head and how they went from quite possibly the best trimmer head ever designed to this, I gotta let you in on a little backstory. Now, I was an Echo dealer for 12 years, and I wasn't a gigantic big box store, but I sold quite a few units. Each year, I would sell probably about 8 to 10 of the real gigantic big commercial trimmers, the SRM 3020s. Now, last year when I was selling these SRM 3020s, I had no idea that they had a new designed head on them because they look exactly the same as the 450. They're the same size, they hold the same amount of line. Had no clue. Until one of my commercial customers came in a month after he bought his 3020 and he needed a new cap. Which that wasn't a big deal. I went back, grabbed a cap, went to go put it on and realized it doesn't fit. Why? Because my cap fits the 450s. Then I found out that these existed. So I didn't have the part that he needed, but I did have a whole head. It wasn't that big deal. I was just going to take his head off, pop one of these on, he'd be good to go. Well, unfortunately, that didn't work out either because his entire head was melted together and we had to cut it off. Now, that wasn't an uncommon occurrence. I had cut plenty of trimmer heads off in my day because of just overuse or they let it get too hot, something like that. So I didn't think that much about it at the time. But then 3 weeks later, I have another commercial customer come into the shop and he wants to buy an entire brand new head. I don't think anything about it, but through conversation, I find out that he's putting it on his brand new 3020. And I'm like, well, why are you putting a brand new head on your brand new 3020? And he says, I don't know. I think I got a lemon. Something's wrong with it, but my line keeps getting stuck inside my head. I have to stop trimming every few minutes and get the line unstuck from the spool. Now that's odd because in the entire time that I've been selling these 400s and 450s, that just doesn't happen. It always lines up perfect. You just slide the line through, twist it in, and you're good to go. You bump, it comes out. So I asked him, can you bring it in to me? I'd like to see it. And he did. Now this was his exact trimmer head. And the line is constantly getting wrapped up in itself from beginning. From the first time he used it, he said he was having this issue where it's stuck inside and he has to cut it out. Like both of these are lodged inside themselves. So don't know what that's about. And let me show you how the line is still, I've already pulled most of it out that was completely jammed, melted in there, but let me show you how it's still melted together inside. Now, I've pretty much left this exactly the way it was, other than all this line was sort of melted in here too. But you can see inside there, this is not spooled in correctly. I mean, that's I'm pulling hard, very hard, and it's not coming out. So my spidey sense starts working, and I'm thinking, that's really odd. In a few weeks, I've got 2 commercial guys that both have melted, symptoms in their trimmer heads. I mean, these are really powerful trimmers. This is a brand new design. What's going on here? So I look a little bit more at the head. Now, this is his head. I want you to see this back part right here where it connects to the base of the gearbox. There is a raised section right there. You see that? I got pictures too. Let me show you. Well, on the old speed feed heads, it's perfectly flat. In fact, on another 500 head I have, it's perfectly flat. So what's the deal? This guy used this trimmer head for 1 month. Why is the trimmer line melting to itself and the back end of it melted and raised up? Let's open one up and see what they got going on inside. So in the old speed feed heads, super simple design. This back piece came off. It had a plastic insert right here that the little metal arbor went into. Let me take it apart so I can show you here. Plastic spool. This little tiny metal piece goes right there, and these just worked, okay? They just worked. New design. See if I can get that off. Even when you can see here, you can see where it wallered out and melted. It's supposed to be on this square back end right here. Just wait. Let's open this head up. Okay. Check this out. Okay, so they used to have a plastic piece that went through the spool. Now they've got a chunk of metal that goes through the spool. Okay, that goes in there like that. So here's what I'm thinking. And remember, this is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt or take the information in and see what you think. I think that these worked because there wasn't enough metal to disperse heat into the head. These ones being on the 30-20 and getting extremely hot. And this was a really hot summer last summer too. So, I mean, that could have attributed to it. I think that these metal pieces being inside of the spool like that are dispersing the heat into the trimmer line, getting so hot and melting the back base. So then I have another commercial customer come in, and I know that he just bought a 30-20 about a month ago. So I asked him, have you had any problems with your head? And he's like, you know what? I gotta, pull the line out of itself all the time because it just keeps feeling like it's getting stuck in there. And I'm like, weird. Bring your head to me. So I had already given the last commercial guy a brand new head for free. And I went ahead and gave this guy a head for free. And I have not taken this one apart because I have a feeling that it's the same thing. When he brought this one in, I'll show you a picture. Everything was sort of cocked to the side like this back base had gotten in the wrong position on the arbor. But let's take this one apart and see what the line looks like. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's the same. It's all wrapped in itself and melted. Let me show you. Let me see if I can get you to see this. That line is completely stuck underneath that other line. Oh, I want you to be able to see that good. And this one on this side. Yeah, look at that. It's wrapped up in there and melted. Let me see what it's like trying to pull this line out. Look, I should be able to just pull this freely. There's no way you're going to be able to just bump your head and it shoot line out if this is not coming out freely. Ooh, you can hear it from the meltedness of it stuck together. Listen. That one, oh, I can even see it. Chunks of it. Listen. Okay, that one I might have got the melt out. Let's do the other one. That is the sound of cracking melted plastic or trimmer line, whatever it is. Wow. Yeah, these are melting. And this is after just a month or two of use. These heads are melting. Now, we can attribute this to it being on a very heavy-duty commercial trimmer, overuse, the heat of the summer, a lot of things. But the fact is, for years, the 450 never melted like that. So, what do? I call Echo. This whole thing right here is completely warped up, just like on the last one. The last one, when I went to take it off, this centerpiece wallered out the plastic in the back base after it was only used for about a month. And if you look, this is the first time this head's been off, and the whole center, I don't know if it already popped out and wallered once, but it is not flush in its hole anymore. You can see large gaps all the way around. Now on this one, I can still remove this, but the last guy that brought it in, this piece was melted to this base. I tell them all of my observations and ask, has anybody else called in and said they're having issues like this? Or have you heard of anything? Is there something I should do? They say, of course, like always, no, nobody's called in and said that. It's the first we've heard of it. But it's funny because every time I would call in with some kind of issue like this, it would always be, it's the first we've heard of it. Just like the time when I was the first person to call in and tell about the hedge trimmers blades locking up. And lo and behold, next thing I know, we're changing gearboxes and blade sets on every single Echo hedge trimmer that we sold. Or maybe the time whenever I called and said, hey, I think these PB8010 backpack blowers are burning up because the cylinders are leaking. And lo and behold, even though I was the first one to call and supposedly let them know about this issue, we're changing short blocks on every single PB8010 that we sold. Or when I called them the other time and told them that, hey, all these short blocks you're sending us don't have threads to put the rewinds back on. What do you want us to do? Go ahead and just tap it and put those rewinds back on. It'll be okay. Alrighty. And the next thing you know, all them rewinds are breaking off and coming loose, and we're putting brand new short blocks again on all them PB8010s. I got to where I could change a PB8010 short block in like 20 minutes. It was a little ridiculous. Now, I ended up warranting or giving away 4 SpeedFeed 450s to my customers who had purchased 3020s last year whenever they had these issues with their heads. And you might think, well, 4, that's not a big number. Well, remember, I only sold about 8 to 10 3020s last year with the 500s on them. So that's like half. And the other customers I never got back with. So I don't know if they had the issues or not. A lot of times commercial guys don't even realize it's an issue. I mean, they've gone through so much trimmer line in their day. You know, if it just happened to have got hot over one job that they were doing, they're not going to think anything about it. They're just going to rip their line out and put some new in and go with it. But this is just something I want you to keep an eye out for. I think that it is a major issue. This is just my opinion. So why am I making this video, calling them out whenever I've been, pushing their products for so many years? That's because I truly stand behind the SpeedFeed 400 and 450. I know they work and they're great. When I see something that I'm pretty positive there's an issue with that they're just not going to admit yet, I'm going to let everybody know about it because I'm here to save you time, money, and frustration. So I will leave links in the description box below if you want to get a SpeedFeed 400 or 450. Now remember, the 400 goes on most everything. The 450 is for very large trimmers with a good amount of CC power. If you do have a head already, you need to check it before you start this spring. A lot of times people don't realize it until it's too late. Now you're beating this thing on the ground a lot. If you beat it on concrete more, it's going to wear out quicker. Now the trick of it is before you start wearing this head down into the back base, change your cap out. I will leave a link in the description box below so you can change out just the cap if you need it, because if you catch it, you can just replace the cap and you'll never have to replace the back base or the spool. Save you some money. All right, enough about that. Let's see what's going on in the shop. Now, some of you have asked, am I going to stay busy enough just from word of mouth and my commercial customers working out of my house without a storefront? Well, let me show you what I got in just Thursday and Friday. To start, I got in a steel TS460 chop saw. I would have been happy to never seen another chop saw again, but you got to do what you got to do. Obviously, it sat for a very long time. This is the metering diaphragm out of the carburetor, and it's pretty much dust. I got in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chainsaws also. Okay, so my commercial guys, they're going to keep bringing them in. Now this Steel 045, they say it runs. I don't know about that. We'll see. That's an old chainsaw. I'm going to make an attempt at it, but if it doesn't want to do too much, I'm not going to go too far in. I've got an age limit, guys. I got an age limit now. I'm not making that my problem anymore. So I got to get a handle for this one. It runs. Other than that, this one has rewind issues. Just keeps messing up, so I still got to go through the other ones and see, diagnose, see what's going on with them. So yeah, with it being a gardening season, trying to get everything set up and organized at the shop and getting all this equipment in, I'm staying pretty busy. So guys, thanks again for tuning into Chickanic. Hopefully this video saves you time, money, and frustration in the future. If you haven't found me at Facebook, find me at facebook.com/Chickanic. Find me on Instagram at TheRealChickanic, or find me at Chickanic.com, where you get your own t-shirts, hoodies, and long sleeve shirts. And if you have not experienced the Speed Feed 400 or 450 yet, check this video out right here.